Might be a terrible idea, but I'm not sure how the video will look. So I'm on the Appalachian Highway going towards West Virginia. It's what happens when my anxiety gets the best of me, and it's either binge drinking, binge eating, or just, getting out of my own head. And I want to talk a little bit of this video about being alone, not lonely, because I do a lot of things alone. I enjoy my time alone, in a sense, until I start overthinking things. And, I'm battling a lot of things right now with, the binge drinking, the binge eating, trying to deal with trauma, trying to, unravel some of my past relationships that were all linked to my trauma and why I picked these particular girls and decided to stay with them. And those will be other videos, but the more I just feel like my body is breaking down from the abuse I've given it over the years. And if you're younger and watching this, you won't realize a lot of the shit you're doing to yourself until you get in your 40s and 50s. And then you look back at everything you did and you're wishing you could go back and last thing I need is a ticket. Let me set my cruise control. And you won't realize stuff until much later in life, which I'm doing, because I thought when I was younger, I was married, I was making plenty of money, but all I was doing was escaping and coping and surviving. I wasn't really living. On the outside looking in, I looked like I had the best life. I mean, I was traveling. I had a beautiful Filipino wife. I had money. I was just doing a lot of things that people think you should do in life. And I got married when I was 27. The only thing I didn't do was have kids, thank God, because I can't take care of myself, let alone, I don't know what I would have done if I'd had kids. The guilt with that, because I know they would have had some serious issues, because I was in no situation to be having a kid. But looking back now at that, and the difference between lonely and being alone, I'm not afraid. I'm not lonely, and I'm not afraid to be lonely. I'm afraid to be ending up alone. You really start thinking about those things when you get older, because I don't have kids. I have 3 nephews, but they're doing their own thing, and I don't want to be dependent on them when I get old. But then it's always in the back of your head of, what if something happens to you, like where you become, disabled or something, and you need somebody, or I mean, I know there's a point. Everybody needs somebody, and I'm so hell bent on being like isolated, but it's the type of people that I've chosen to put in my life, through the 51 years I've been alive, and none of them's been good. I mean, I've wanted to like convince myself they were good people, and they meant well for me, and there was potential and hope for a future with us, but there wasn't. It was me lying to myself. And now all those lies and everything are coming to like fruition, or whatever you want to call it, to where it's actually becoming a reality. And I'm actually getting a little scared, because I haven't taken good care of myself, and my body's not recouping or healing like it used to. I'm having chronic pain, and just my mental health is deteriorating at a rapid pace. I mean, it doesn't matter how long I don't binge drink, or how much I'm exercising, or how much I try to think positive, and all these wacko fucking therapists that I'm trying to find, and get hope in a therapist I find, to find out that it's just another typical fucked up person trying to fix in others, but they can't fix in themselves. And then you're just sat there and like, well, maybe I'll go into a nursing home. But I drive Lyft and Uber, and I pick these nurse aides and nurses up that work in these nursing homes, and that I swear I'd be homeless before I'd go and commit myself into one of those places, because they're not, most of them aren't really good places, especially state-run places, the places that I could afford or to be put into. I mean, that's just like you're signing your own death certificate, checking yourself into one of those places, because your mental health will go quick if you're in one of those places, because it's very depressing. And I just look back and I'm like, God, if I just would have stayed married, even though I wasn't happy, at least there was 2 people, 2 incomes, even though we weren't connected, we were very distant with one each other. It was never really a marriage from the get-go. We never got married and became one. We were always separate. We had separate bank accounts. We've almost had separate lives. It was just a very weird. And before you think, that she was a mail order bride, she wasn't. She was born and raised in the States. Well, she was born in Okinawa, Japan, but her dad was U.S. military, and we met on spring break in Myrtle Beach and stuff like that. So it wasn't me in some desperate attempt to find some fucking girl down on her luck over in a third world country needing to get to the States. She was already here. Her family's wealthy, and so that's beside the point. And I keep thinking, well, maybe I should have just stayed married and just been in that miserable comfort and settled in what I see in most everybody in the U.S. They're just settling in these relationships, and people call me cynical and negative and all this shit, but it's like once you become aware and you see the shit that's really going on in the world, it's insane. And it's like there's so much things wrong with the world, almost where it's designed to isolate us, because I think in general America, just humans in general, are waking up to what's really going on. They're waking up to their childhood trauma. They're waking up. I mean, the first big buzzword was narcissism. Everybody, they dated a narcissist just because, the person cheated or they were an asshole or whatever. And then from the narcissism, they went, now it's a trauma thing. Everybody's realizing they have some kind of trauma. You could be raised in what you appear to be the most loving family, and you'll see this a lot on the intervention on A&E, where the parents are like, oh, they were such a happy child and this and that. And that just shows you how delusional the fucking parent is. They're fucking abusive. They may not mean to be abusive, but it doesn't take much to fuck a kid up to where they do end up being alone or wanting to isolate. And then when they get older and they isolate and they're alone, they end up being lonely because it's just this image that's built around social media and Facebook and just everything that looks like you have to live this perfect life, and there's no perfect life. Everybody has fucked up shit going on in their life. It's just that everybody gets the perfect reel of life in all these feeds on social media and stuff. And I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, I'm doing my best to take care of myself to where I hope I'm not I don't need somebody to help me function with normal daily activities, because that is frightening. Because I really care what people think about me. I put off going to doctor appointments. I overshare in my writings, and I overshare on YouTube. I've had a couple YouTube channels where, they began to take off, but I get nervous. I get too many followers, too many comments, and then I delete the channel. And then I have regret and guilt and shame because I deleted the channel. But it's just myself, though. I'm very just in tune with people's feelings, and I probably overthink myself into what people really think about me because they have their own shit going on. But it's the most terrifying thing is when you just care so much what people think about you, you will sacrifice your own mental health and your own physical health for the fear of what someone might say or what someone might think. And I do that with people that I don't even know, doctors and psychologists and stuff. But I'm very open when I go into these psychology appointments. And I think that's why I'm having trouble finding one, because a lot of therapists they're very just superficial and trained by a book. They don't realize their own trauma. They don't realize the shit that they went through and the reason why they're a psychologist or why they got into this mental health field of trying to help people. The same with nurses and doctors, and to where narcissism runs rampant in the mental health field and the life coaching and the influencers and all this bullshit. It's just, I don't know. I'm just driving and I'm thinking, man, I don't want to be alone. But it's like, I don't want anybody in my life either, because people are fucked up. I mean, if you really start digging into your shit and looking at yourself, you'll see your character defects. And you'll see your shit in the relationship. Even though you maybe had a partner that was abusive mentally, maybe physically, emotionally, distant, all this kind of stuff, you'll see your part in it and why you chose that person. And then you'll start thinking about, how do you even find a healthy person? What is a healthy person? Would a healthy person even find me attractive? It's just not a good space to be in. And I take a lot of trips alone, and I would love nothing more to find a girl that is on the same path as me, that, struggling and stuff, but she wants the best thing for herself. And then we benefit off each other by supporting one another. And, I bring my strengths and she brings her strengths, but we see our weaknesses too, and we don't, sabotage that within each other and make it worse as we're trying to heal. And at being 51, it feels impossible. I mean, it really does. And at this point, I just want to feel good. Maybe if I felt good physically, I would have a different mindset. But it's like the reality of life is really setting in now, being 51 years old and just being alone. And it's scary being alone. but I'm not lonely. I mean, there's a big difference, because there's many people who wouldn't take it. I do most of my traveling, when I go out to eat, when I do things, it's all almost by myself. And I'm trying to learn to really like myself and enjoy my own company. But at times I get in my own head and I really beat myself up. And I'm very hard and critical on myself. And that comes out in my demeanor and my image to others, through my writings and how I talk and stuff. People are like, oh, you're so harsh. Well, it's because that's how I treat myself. And it's not that I mean to be harsh with other people or hard on them. I'm just I'm projecting, in a sense, I'm trying to force them to see something I can't, if that makes sense. And it sounds almost manipulative in a sense, and it kind of is, but I'm just coming to terms with all this stuff, and it's like, God, life isn't long enough to figure out, all your shit and where you went wrong and the life you should live and life you should have lived. Because many of us aren't given a fair shake. We're born into a family we didn't choose, and some have it, worse than others, and some, I don't know why, some people can grow up in the harshest environment but somehow turn their life around. At least it seems like they do. You don't know. People fucking lie. I mean, social media is full of liars, and you see things where people, like on social media, that they seem like they have it all together, and then all of a sudden you see something come out about them and you're like, oh my God, you would never imagine that person was like that. But it's everywhere, and that's why it's so hard to trust anybody. But is to find a small group of people you really trust, and then not cling on to them for dear life, but do what you can to benefit and grow and flourish in relationships like that. Maybe 2 or 3 people. But I can't get out of my own way. I'm not going to find them in a fucking bar that I'm binge drinking in or just running and escaping from myself. And that's exactly what I do all the time. That's what I'm doing now. But hey, the option of me going to West Virginia, it's not like I can work in West Virginia and make money doing, Lyft and Uber. But it's a healthier escape, I think, because I do go here and I force myself to go on hikes. It's a new environment where I'm driving. I enjoy different scenery and different people. The people in West Virginia are a lot more friendly and nice than the people in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's just a different type of person there, and I like those type of people and stuff. And so that's why I go here often, and I get a cheap Airbnb and stuff. And so I don't know if anybody feels like that. If anybody is afraid of being alone, but you're not lonely. I'm sorry if the camera's shaking a little bit. I'm on a smooth road, but maybe it'll stabilize. Maybe iPhone has a stabilization thing in it or something. I don't know. I've never done a video like this. But anyways, I'm going to get off here, and I'll probably make a couple more videos in the next few days on my trip. I got a few other things I want to discuss, but I really think that therapy is bullshit. I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, unless you're one of the fortunate ones to find a really good therapist, and you're aware enough to know they're a good therapist, you're not just some fucking wacko that wants to go in and just regurgitate, just vomit all your fucking trouble onto them and just use it as like a, just to empty everything out, but not heal anything. Just talk. Talk therapy doesn't work. I mean, it starts with talk therapy, but I really think healing and stuff comes from numbers and comes from a community and stuff where you come together and you got people that share different ideas and different things they've done and things they're doing from trusted people though. And that's another thing. It's hard to trust people and learn from other people's mistakes and learn from what they did. And then, you develop a little community of people that you really trust and you can bounce ideas off of and you grow from that. Because I also just hell bent on, my therapist told me about ketamine therapy for trauma. And I actually was like, okay, I'll do it. And I watched some videos and I was watching different things on how beneficial it is. And then I go to do it and I interview for it. I went through the intake process of it. And apparently I wasn't even attempting to qualify because my therapist had no fucking clue what she's talking about. She's sending me in for ketamine therapy where I have no fucking diagnosis. It just shows you the cluelessness of these people. And it's like, I'm sitting there and it's more like I analyze the therapist while I'm there, just trying to see if they're qualified to even talk about what they're talking about. But it's just a script. They just go through like a script of what they're doing, and they do it with everybody. It's not really like they're trying to, I can't explain it. If you've been to enough therapists, you'll see it. And maybe one day I'll find a good one, but this other one I had hopes for is another wash. And I'm just like, and I'm in the point that I'll take any type of medication just to quiet my mind and stuff. But I haven't given myself a fair shake at, exercise, eating healthy, and not binge drinking because my anxiety gets so fucking bad that I feel like I'm going to implode. I feel like I should go to a mental institution sometimes. I just get this feeling of discontent where I can't sit still and I have to do something destructive or I will self-implode. And that's just a scary place to be. And if I had a partner that was kind of similar, like it's going through stuff, you have somebody you trust and you love and you can talk and bounce ideas off of, and they're supportive and they're not trying to fix you and offer all this advice that they don't do, because everybody, I get some people say they're caring and they love you, but they don't. If they only want to do is tell you things that you need to do that they're not doing, that's just bullshit too. And that's what everybody does. And I do it. I've done it a lot. Tell people they need to do. But most people don't want advice on what to do. They just want a support system to know they're not alone is all it is. And that doesn't really exist because the toxic dynamic of families and stuff, it's just hell being, and I'm not saying I'm some super aware person or whatever, but it's just hell once you start becoming aware to stuff. And it's just been over the last 5 years, and it's been hell. I wish I would have stayed asleep. I wish I would have almost stayed in a relationship where I know the girl was probably histrionic and comorbid with a narcissism, because I knew what to expect. But it's like, if you're in a shitty relationship and you're just hanging on to it and you're really struggling and stuff, you're going to see what struggling is if you ever pull your head out of your ass and really be alone and get away from all this toxic shit and just sit with yourself. You'll see what pain is when you really sit with yourself, because I'm starting to see it now, and it's scary. So until next video.